Maganyala is all yours. Kadash.
Well, we couldn't get his. That's the thing. I mean, I put it on. I was trying to reconnect and couldn't.
Okay.
Yes. All right, we're live.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Now go give me the book of Jeremiah 29. Go read verse 6 again. Verse 6.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
Take ye wives
Mhm.
and beget sons
Mhm.
and daughters,
Mhm.
and take wives for your sons,
Mhm.
and give your daughters to husbands,
Mhm.
that they may bear sons and daughters,
Mhm.
that ye may be increased there
So we may be increased, read,
and not
and
diminished.
not diminished. Now remember, we have to build ourselves spiritually. We have also build ourselves economically. Second Thessalonians 3 and verse 10. Now, oftentimes when we are in the streets, start at 6, they always tell us, get a job. Do you get a 9 to 5? You see, as servants of the Most High, we endure a lot of insults from our own people. Now, let's see what the Most High says. Give me the book of Second Thessalonians 3, start at 6. Because as real Jews, we have to work. This doctrine that we should not be working is not in the Bible. We have to work to provide for ourselves. Second Thessalonians 3, start at 6.
This is the book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 3 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now we command you,
Mhm.
brethren,
Read.
in the name of Hamashiach Yahushua,
Mhm.
that ye withdraw yourselves
Mhm.
from every brother
Mhm.
that walketh disorderly.
So any brother that walks disorderly, we are commanded to withdraw ourselves from him. Meaning that this brother, he needs help. A brother like that, we should have him in counsel. Read.
And not after the tradition which he received of us.
Read.
For yourselves know how ye ought to follow us.
Mhm.
For we behave not ourselves disorderly among you.
Read.
Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught.
That's why oftentimes after camp, what we do, we gather money together so we can eat together. So that we can share the burden. Read it again.
Verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
For yourselves know
Mhm.
how ye ought to follow us.
Mm-hmm.
For we behave not ourselves disorderly among you.
Read.
Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught,
Mm-hmm.
but wrought with labor and travail
So
night and day.
I mean, these brothers, while they were there, the apostles, they were working, providing for themselves. Read.
That we might not be chargeable to any of you.
So that they cannot be a burden, so that they couldn't be a burden for the people there. Read.
Not because we have not power,
Mm-hmm.
but to make ourselves an example
Mm-hmm.
unto you to follow us.
So to make themselves an example, because guess what? We lead by examples, correct? So these brothers, they were leading by example. The book of Thessalonians was written by Paul to our brothers and sisters that were in Thessalonica. So these brothers, they were leading by example. So they instructed the brothers to follow the examples that they were giving them according to the scriptures. Read verse 10.
Verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we have not power,
Mm-hmm.
but to make ourselves an example unto you to follow us.
Read.
For even when we were with you,
Read.
this we commanded you,
Read.
that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
Mm-hmm.
For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly,
Mm-hmm.
working not at all,
Mm-hmm.
but are busybodies.
See, so we are commanded to work with this. So those brothers online, or if you think we are working, guess what? Thanks to the Most High, we have a job and we are providing for ourselves.
Hallelujah.
Now give me the book of First Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 8.
This is the book of First Timothy chapter
First Timothy chapter 5 and verse 8. Verse 8. First Timothy 5 verse 8.
This is the book of First Timothy chapter 5 and verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
But if any provide not for his own, and especially.
So as we'll Jews, Brother Dawad, as we'll Jews, Brother Magdania Alba, as we'll Jews, Brother Kadash, if we don't provide for our family, as real Jews, you brothers and sisters that are online, if we do not provide for our family, read.
And especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith,
Read.
and is worse than an infidel.
So we are worse than a brother who doesn't believe in this Bible. So we are commanded to work. Now, some brothers cannot because they have an ailment. That's why we, in the system that we are in, they have social security. Brothers that are retired, they have been working all their life. Now, it is time now to reap all the money that social security has been gouging from them.
Right.
Now, give me the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 28. Because in this life, we have to better ourselves for the betterment of the nation too. Ephesians 4:28. Let's see what the Bible says in Ephesians 4:28. Because as real Jews, if we can start a business, if you have a truck, start a little moving business so that when brothers and sisters are moving, they can hire you. And by doing so, guess what? The money will stay among Israel. Give me what you have, brother.
This is the book of Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 28. Let him that stole steal no more.
Read.
But rather let him labor, working with his hands, the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth.
So we are working so that we can feed ourselves and also to help our brothers and sisters if they fall in hard time. Now give me the book of Tobit chapter 4 and verse 14. Now when we do business with each other, before the sun goes down, we have to pay each other. And guess what? When we do these things, guess what? We are practicing racism, which is the betterment of the race. We are practicing things for the betterment of the race. This is what racism is. Racism means be for your own people. A racist, according to what we read from the dictionary, means someone who is for his own people. A pianist is somebody that plays the piano. Read.
The book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 12.
No, 14.
14, Salaki. Let not the wages of any man which hath wrought for thee tarry with thee, but give him it out of hand.
So we have to better ourselves for the betterment of the nation. Now with this, the highlighted paragraph from this book. Let's see. Let's get this from this book very quick.
This is page 72 out of The Miseducation of the Negro.
By who?
By Carter G. Woodson.
So this scholar, he observed this back then. Read.
Examples of this failure of the miseducated Negro to have high ideals may be cited. The author has known numerous cases of Negro lawyers, physicians, and businessmen who, while attending local Sunday schools, churches, and lodges, have fallen out about trifles like a resolution.
So that means they let legal nonsense preventing them from getting together. That means they didn't see the good of the community. They didn't see the good of the nation. Read. Now, read it again. You see, he was talking about lawyers. Read it again.
Right. Examples of this failure of the miseducated Negro to have high ideals may be cited. The author has known numerous cases of Negro lawyers.
Negro lawyers mean that brothers and sisters that are lawyers, read. Brothers that are lawyers, read. Physicians, doctors,
and businessmen,
and brothers that own businesses, read.
Who, while attending local Sunday schools,
even though they were part of the same churches, read.
Churches and lodges, have fallen out about trifles like a resolution.
So they let legal things that are of no value dividing them, read.
Or the chairmanship of a committee,
read.
Which so embittered them as to make themselves enemies for life.
So they become enemies over the chairmanship of a committee. Read.
And stumbling blocks preventing any such thing as organization or community cooperation.
And guess what? When we have these things among us, guess what? We cannot go forward. Remember, racism means be for your own people. Work for the welfare of your own people. Now, give me the book of Esther, chapter 10 and verse 3. Let's see what one brother did. Because, brothers, you have to understand, some brothers are not for the nation. Not everybody, not every brother and sister with fringes on, with border of blue, wants to see us succeeding. Because many of us still love Babylon.
Right.
In fact, we have, when we left Egypt, what did some brothers say? We had watermelon in Egypt. We had fish in Egypt.
Right.
Let's see what happened. Read.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 10 and verse 3. For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Azarias.
So Mordecai was the right hand man of King Ahasuerus during the Persian captivity. Read.
And great among the Jews.
He was great among us. We know him people. He was a notable man among us. What did he do?
And accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people.
Look, read it again. Seeking what?
Seeking the wealth of his people.
So this brother, first, he built himself up because, now with God's help through a Mashiach, he rose up to be the right hand man of the king. While he was in that seat, he put himself into action for the wealth of our people. That's why if we are in a job, if we can give a letter of recommendation for a brother, do it. But warn the brother not to make you a laughing stock. Because oftentimes when you refer brothers to an employer, when they arrive, these brothers, they behave badly.
Yes.
And I've heard many stories about brothers doing these things. To the point now, you are ashamed. Now, remember, we have to build ourselves spiritually and economically. Now, the third thing is we have to leave the other nations alone. This is a big thing. Leave the other nations alone. Give me the book of Nehemiah 2, start at 1. Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 1. Because we already know that they hate us. And if we are practicing racism, if we are looking for the welfare of our people, of our own, we have to do this, which is leave the other nations alone. Nehemiah chapter 2. Start at 1.
This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 2, and verse 1. And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it unto the king.
Read.
Now I had not been before time sad in his presence.
So Nehemiah, who was what we can say a butler at that time, he was the servant of the king. Read. He was very sad. You see, as leaders in Israel, when we see our sisters twerking, we see our brothers with a bomb in the corner. These things, they sadden us. Read.
Wherefore the king said unto me,
Mm-hmm.
Why is thy countenance sad,
Mm-hmm.
seeing thou art not sick?
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing else but sorrow of heart.
Read.
Then I was very sore afraid,
Mm-hmm.
and said unto the king,
Read.
Let the king live forever.
Mm-hmm.
Why should not my countenance be sad,
Mm-hmm.
when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres,
Mm-hmm.
lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire?
Sepulchres lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire. Now Nehemiah was sad because the walls of Jerusalem were down. Read.
Then the king said unto me,
Mm-hmm.
For what doest thou make a request?
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed to the Most High of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I said unto the king, If it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight,
Mm-hmm.
that thou wouldest send me unto Judah,
Mm-hmm.
unto the city of my father's sepulchres,
Sepulchres. Mm-hmm.
sepulchres, that I may build it.
Mm-hmm.
And the king said unto me,
Mm-hmm.
the queen also sitting by him,
Mm-hmm.
For how long shall thy journey be?
Mm-hmm.
And when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time.
So King Xerxes, Artaxerxes, allowed Nehemiah to go back to Judah to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Read.
Moreover, I said unto the king,
Mm-hmm.
If it please the king,
Mm-hmm.
let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river,
Mm-hmm.
that they may convey me over till I come into Judah.
So you want pass from them, so you want pass so you can go through so you can go through these lands. Read.
And a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forge.
It's like pretty much junior class when we were in high school, they give you a pass so you can go to the restroom or so you can go to the principal's office. Read.
That he may give me timber to make beams for the gates
Mm-hmm.
of the palace which appertain
Mm-hmm.
to the house,
Mm-hmm.
and for the wall of the city,
Mm-hmm.
and for the house that I shall enter into.
Mm-hmm.
And the king granted me,
Mm-hmm.
according to the good hand of my God upon me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came to the governors beyond the river,
Mm-hmm.
and gave them the king's letters.
Mm-hmm.
Now the king had sent captains of the army
Mm-hmm.
and horsemen with me.
Mm-hmm.
When Sanballat,
Now we have to see this. The walls of Jerusalem are down. Nehemiah is sad. He volunteered. The Most High through pretty much let the king give him letters so he can go to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. Read it again. Read verse 9 again.
this is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 2, and verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came to the governors beyond the river,
Mm-hmm.
and gave them the
Mhm.
king's letters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now the king had sent captains of the army
Mm-hmm.
and horsemen with me.
Mm-hmm.
When Sanballat,
Mm-hmm.
the Horonite,
Now, according to researchers, they say that these guys, they were pretty much, we thought their ancestors used to live in the land. So we beat their ancestors. So now these guys, they are angry. And guess what? Now they want to take revenge. Guess what was in Sanballat's thought? Read.
and Tobiah the servant,
You see, you had Sanballat, we had Tobiah, and we had the Arab guy. Read.
the Ammonite,
Mhm.
heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
It grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel.
That there was come a man to seek the welfare of Israel. I heard that an Edomite says that he is happy when he sees black men going to jail. So when bad things befall us, guess what? The other nations are happy.
Right.
That's why we have to leave them alone. Practice racism. Be for ourselves. Give me the book of Ezra chapter 4. Because many of our brothers and sisters in the church, they think that so-called white people want to see us succeeding in America. No, 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 no. There should be somebody on top and somebody at the bottom. And because we are not keeping God's laws, guess what? We refuse to keep God's laws, we will be the one at the bottom. Give me the book of Ezra, chapter 4, verse 1. Let's see what happened. Because when Nehemiah and our brothers, they wanted to build the walls of Jerusalem, all brothers, they had pretty much, they saw opposition. Simple like Tobiah and the Iraq, these guys, they stood against us rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. They stood against this. They stood against the rebuilding of the wall. Let's go to Ezra chapter 4, verse 1.
This is the book of Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 1.
Read.
Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin.
Now when you read the book of Ezra and the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah was the governor. Ezra was the priest. These brothers, they were living at the same time. Ezra chapter 4.
Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Most High power of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel, and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, let us build with you.
So now, you see, now we got that same garbage now in Israel. Edomites that somehow are sympathetic to our cause, now they are Israelites now.
Right.
Their great-great-great-grandfathers were in Rome.
Right.
I even see garbage that saying that garbage doctrine that Leonardo DiCaprio is an Israelite. Yeah, I even heard one brother say that Paul is an Israelite.
Right. I heard that. They said Jet Li.
Jet Li is an Israelite.
Oh, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee is an Israelite. Well, listen, but we have to listen. We are to stop making people Israelites. Let's have the kingdom for ourselves. Let us practice racism. Read. That garbage that we have to eat. You see, this is what religion do to people. To the point that you even love your enemies. Why do we listen? Everything that we have to include the other nations. But guess what? When they have their things, they keep us out.
Right. Close the door.
I heard a story about a guy, a firefighter in, I guess in Virginia or in the South. In fact, you may know this more. There was an incident in New York. A fake Jew hit two children that were playing on the street. When the Jewish firefighters came, guess what? They took the Edomite to the hospital, but they left the wounded children. Because according to their laws, they don't mingle with other nations. And
Firefighters?
yeah, pretty much. This is a story pretty much in the old days.
Oh.
And our people were angry when this happened in New York. We even have a story about there was a car crash in the South, I guess maybe Virginia or Tennessee. And one of the firefighters, the chief guy says, don't bring any NIGER in my ambulance. They always find ways to keep us out. But guess what? We always want to put them in.
Yes.
Even in Israel, brothers because they want to have Edomite women. Now these Edomite women are Israelite.
Right.
They are descendants of the Moors. Ezra chapter 4.
This is the book of Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 2. Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Jeshua And the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them.
Now that's why, as a nation, hold that. Give me the book of Deuteronomy 16, verse 16, or 1 verse 16. Because when you have no leader, you are like a car that is driving with no driver, with no sane driver. The Bible says here, but Zerubbabel, the governor, and Joshua, the priest, and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel. We are a nation of law and order. That's why they use Planned Parenthood, they use food stamp, child support check, WIC, independent black women, abortion opportunities, job opportunities, to keep us fathers out of the house. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I charged your judges at that time,
saying what?
Hear the causes between your brethren,
Mm-hmm.
and judge righteously between every man and his brother,
Read.
and the stranger that is with him.
See, and the judges. We are the judge of Israel. That's why when there is a matter that arises among us, we have to judge it. We have to deal with it according to the laws. Go back to Ezra chapter 4.
This is the book of Ezra chapter 4 verse 3.
Verse 3. Mm-hmm.
But Zerubbabel and Jeshua
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel
Mm-hmm.
said unto them,
Wait, what did we say?
Ye have nothing to do with us
No, thank you. We don't want you to be in our midst. Read.
to build an house unto our God,
Read.
but we ourselves together.
But we ourselves together. That's a profound statement.
Mhm.
But conjunction, we, personal pronoun, that means he puts himself, they put themselves all together. Ourselves together. Read.
Will build unto the Lord God of Israel.
God of Israel. So we don't want Edomites in our midst.
Right.
Think about it, brothers. You are in the Passover feast. You are eating bitter herbs, correct? What does the word, the bitter herbs, what do they represent? We are eating bitter herbs. What does the bitter herbs represent? The radish we are eating. Is it good? Does it taste fine? It has a sour taste, correct? It is bitter,
Yeah.
correct?
Fine.
What does that represent?
Suffering.
The sufferings that we endured in Egypt, correct? Now, are we suffering in America? Think about it. You are eating bitter herbs and Donald Trump is next to them. And Edomite, you know, who oftentimes Edomites that have that used to be slave owners, they brag about this when they are on the job.
Fine.
In fact, there was an Edomite police officer who was involved in a beating. He bragged saying that one of his uncles used to be a slave auctioneer. Household. You see these guys, right? When you hear this, I have this young buck here. He can run, he can jump. Can I get 50? Can I get 20? So nigga, so.
Right.
So these are the auctioneers, and guess what? When you watch slave movies, you will see them. So we have nothing to do with the other nations. Leave them alone.
That's right.
Now, now let's go to the book of. Go to page 70 in the miseducation of the Negro. Because we are a set apart people. We have to leave the other nations alone. Leave them alone. We don't want Edomites in the Passover. We do not want Moabites in the Passover. Let the Chinese stay home. Let the so-called white people stay home. We don't want them in our Passover feast. Read. Go to page 70.
This is page 70 from The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Our minds must become sufficiently developed
Mhm.
to use segregation to kill segregation, and thus bring to pass.
So use segregation mean that set apart. Thank you, sir. Now these are the devils that we want to invite in our midst. Of course, our children will be molested. Of course, they will kill them and take their parts. Hold that. Hebrews 12, verse 16. These are the degenerates that we want to be amongst. Listen, this guy, if I will not be surprised if I see some of our people praying over him.
Right.
Because this is Christians are evil, and they are stupid. They are evil and stupid at the same time. The Bible says you cannot make right what is crooked. The Bible says in Habakkuk that his soul is not upright in him. So he is the wicked. So how can we try to make the wicked right? Hebrews 12, verse 16.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau.
Esau, according to the Bible, is the so-called white people today. The Edomites are the so-called white folks. Read.
Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
Mm-hmm.
For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected.
So there is no blessing for these devils. They will be our slaves. So this doctrine that the Arabs are Esau is not true.
Right.
Go back to Ezra 4.
Right.
Now, Zerubbabel and our brothers, they say, no, we don't want in our midst. We will build the temple with our own hands.
You want me to finish this?
So yeah. In the script, he says that we should kill segregation with segregation, meaning that they are on their part, we are on our part. They do for themselves, we are doing for ourselves. Now, give me the book of Deuteronomy 7, start at 1. When you go to the YouTube streets, there is something called swirling. Do you guys know what swirling is?
No.
What is it? Go ahead.
It's jungle fever. Get Edomite and Jake, or vice versa.
But oftentimes now you have sisters that are pushing this garbage at pretty much a heavy that they put both. I would say they put all their foes, meaning that right hand, left hand, right feet, left feet, to move this interracial garbage on our people. You may hear words like level up, divesting, living Blackistan, struggle love. They don't deal with struggle love. They don't deal with ghosties. All they are saying is that they are not dealing with black men.
Right. Right.
And guess what? Because many of our sisters wanted to level up, they get with an Edomite named DJ Kid. His name is Jason Wajapo.
Bring that up.
And guess what? This Edomite, he was online since 2011 bragging about having sexual intercourse with our sisters. And guess what? This Edomite is infected with AIDS, with HIV/AIDS. So what this proves is that in America, a white man with AIDS is worth more than a black man who is healthy.
Right.
Now think about it, brothers. Remember, his aim was to infect these sisters so that they can go and infect black men. This is what he was saying. In fact, this is one of the texts that he sent to one of his friend. He has sexual intercourse with more than 600 of our sisters. These sisters, they volunteered for that. They may say that, oh no, he held them against their will. This is not true. On YouTube, many of our sisters, they volunteer. In fact, some even say that they would rather be the bed wench of a white man than to be the wife of a black man. Do you guys know what Scandal is? The show Scandal. Do you know what it is about? Scandal is about a sister who is the side piece of the president of the United States. And they show that she has a lot of power. And this character is played by you know that sister
I don't know.
no, not Stacey Dash,
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington.
Now guess what? Who do you think watches this show more in the USA? Black women, our sisters. So they are pushing interracial relationship on our people, advising our sisters to be with white men. And you have other brothers saying that if you want femininity, you have to be with the Japanese woman to get that Asian persuasion. This is how people. Give me the book of Deuteronomy 7, verse 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
When the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
So we were commanded to destroy these other nations. Read.
And thou shalt make no covenant with them,
Read.
nor show mercy unto them.
Read.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
So listen. The Most High says we are not to marry the other nations. Read.
Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son,
Read.
nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Read.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
That's why. They will turn us away from following the Most High. Let's get the example. 1 Kings 11. Now everybody knows that Solomon was wiser than a lot of guys. He was wiser than Ethan. Now let's see what happened to Solomon. Let's see what happened. See, because he refused, because he wanted to get the Asian persuasion. He wanted to get that Edomite snow bunny. Let's see what happened to him. Yeah, 1 Kings 11, verse 1.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, and verse 1.
Read.
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
What?
King Solomon loved many strange women.
Remember, the law is we are not to marry the other nations. We are not to make marriages with them. Read.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh.
Read.
Women of the Moabites.
Chinese women.
Ammonites.
Japanese women.
Edomites.
What?
Edomites.
The snow bunny.
Edomites.
The snowflake.
Edomites.
Read.
Zidonians.
Africans.
And Hittites.
And Africans again. Read.
Of the nations concerning which the Most High said unto the children of Israel.
Read.
Ye shall not go into them.
So we are commanded that. See, we said from the get-go, do not make marriages with them. Read.
Mm-hmm. Neither shall they come in unto you.
Mm-hmm.
For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods.
Read.
Solomon clave unto these in love.
Cleave unto them in love. Read.
And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart.
So these strange women, they turned him away from the Most High. Now that's a huge fall. Now remember that David told him not to go after these women. What did David instruct him? 1 Kings 2, verse 2. Because before David died, David sat him down and instructed him about God's laws. That's what David told him in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 2.
This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 2.
Read.
I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Read.
And keep the charge of the Most High thy power.
Read.
To walk in his ways.
To walk in his ways, which is Do not take the other nations as for wives. Read.
To keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses.
As it is written in the law of Moses. When we cleave to the other nations, guess what? They are going to turn us away. Joshua 23, verse 6 to 8. Now we get it from David. We get it from Moses in the book of Deuteronomy. Before Joshua died, let's see what he instructed us. I don't know, brothers, do you see, brothers and sisters, you can see the prophets, before they died, they repeat the same things to us. We got this from Moses in the book of Deuteronomy. We got it from David in 1 Kings. Let's get that again from Joshua. Joshua 23, start at 6.
This is the book of Joshua, chapter 23 and verse 6. Be therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written.
You see, to keep and to do. Action verbs. Read.
All that is written in the book of the law of Moses.
Read.
That ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left.
So we can stay straight. You see, when the alignment of your car is good, you can let it drive without even holding it. It will stay on a straight line for a very good time. But for some time. Meaning that it will not veer to the left or the right. That means these laws are our alignment. They keep us straight. Read.
That ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them.
Now go to verse 12.
Verse 12. Else, if ye do in any wise go back.
Now, if you take that snowflake for your cornflakes every morning, read,
and cleave unto the remnant of these nations,
read,
even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you.
Read.
Know for a certainty that the Most High your power will no more drive out any of these nations from before you.
Read.
But they shall be snares and traps unto you.
Do you know that in some interracial relationships, oftentimes the white husband, refers to the wife as the Niger. They call the wife Niger. There was a football player. He was crying, saying that his white wife used to call him Niger. You see, brothers, these things. In fact, I would say the best author of white, I would say the best promoter of white supremacy is us. Now we all know what happened. What has been happening to our people. Why are we trying to love these other nations? And guess what? And this is real, brothers. Sisters online telling brothers that the black man does have a good credit. The white man has the good credit. Get with the white man. Level up. Leave blackism away. Diversity. These things you see over there on YouTube, guess what? Oftentimes when you watch YouTube video, once you read the title, go to the comments.
They support it.
Listen, this is often that when we read this comment, I see comments saying that, well, the white man is the symbol of masculinity.
Really? Wow. Wow.
And oftentimes these sisters, they take pride in that. But they're saying, well, if you want femininity, if you want to experience what a real woman look like, go to Japan. What a real woman looks like, go to Japan. Go to China. Proverbs 21 verse 16. And guess what? many of these brothers lately they will find later on they will find that these nations are they are really thorns in our eyes. Interracial relationship is against God.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
So many of our people are among the dead. That's why we have to go to the street to teach that interracial relationship is against God. We have to leave the other nations alone. Job God, give me the book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 5. Yes, sir. Oh, I got you. All right. Tobit 4 verse 5.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 5. My son, be mindful of the Most High, our power, all thy days.
Read.
And let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness.
Go to verse 6.
Verse 6. For if thou deal truly, thy doing shall prosperously succeed to thee, and to all them that live justly.
Now verse 12.
Verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly
read.
Take a wife of the seed of thy father.
Take a Chinese woman.
Take a wife of the seed of thy father.
Take a Japanese woman.
A wife of the seed of thy father.
Take a so-called white woman.
A wife of the seed of thy father.
Take a French woman. Je ne sais quoi.
A wife of the seed of thy fathers.
Shalom, Yasharala. We pray that these scriptures edify you, because guess what? We have to start practicing racism. These laws are for us and only us. All right. Who do we have online? If there's any question, we will take 5 more minutes to answer them.
I'm going to read the first chat we had.
Yeah.
All right. So we have
Moriah, Israel.
Israel, Shalom.
We have Kashar.
Kashar, Sister Kashar, Shalom.
We have Miss Ellie 1/3.
Miss Ellie 1/3. We see you, Sister. Thank you very much for your support. May God bless you.
We have Bro Shem the Pain. We have Brayman.
Brayman, Mr. Brayman, we see you in our chat, brother. May God bless you too.
We have Brianna Weldon.
Brianna Weldon, sister, may God bless you.
We have LOZ Gabarium.
Oh, Gabarium. Gabarium in the house. May God bless you, brothers.
We have Rhonda McCoy.
Rhonda McCoy, sister, may God bless you.
We have Mr. LJ.
Mr. LJ, may the Most High bless you.
We have Zamar.
Brother Zamar, let's get it popping, brother. May God bless you. Sister Azamia.
Bait.
Bait, may the Most High bless you too.
We have Yesharon.
Brother Yashawan, may God bless you too, brother. Through Hamashiach.
We have Demetrius Lyles.
Mr. Lyles, may God bless you.
Let's see. We have Burning Zeal.
Burning Zeal, may God bless you.
Daughter of Judah.
Shalom.
We have Truth Be Told.
Shalom.
We have Chocolate City Girl.
May the Most High bless you. Thank you for your support.
We have Madeline Servinin.
May God bless you. May the Most High bless you.
We have Ayana J8.
Ayana, may the Most High bless you through Hamashiach.
We have Sister Nazamia.
Shalom, sis. May the Most High bless you through Hamashiach.
And that's pretty much it. But we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, let's get the question very quick.
Okay. So the first question is from Bro Shem the Pain. Are Polynesian people Israelites?
Go to the book of Deuteronomy 4:27. Because when you read the Bible, we are scattered all over the place. If the curses of Deuteronomy 28 fall on them, they are Israelites. Because we have the cities in India. When you go in India, the cities, they are in the countryside. They get the worst of everything. These cities, guess what? They brought them from Africa to India. So we are scattered all over the place.
Right.
In fact, before you go to go to 3864, then Romans 8 verse 16. Because we are scattered everywhere. Everywhere you go, you will find an Israelite living in the dirt, living in poor conditions. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again.
64.
64,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Verse 64.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
From the one end of the earth even to the other. Read.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
So wherever we are, you will see us following other gods. You will see some of our brothers in the Arab religion. They are into Islam. We will see our people in India serving Krishna. We are everywhere. We are scattered all over the place. Now drop that, go to 427. That's why in the book of Jude, Jude said, to the 12 tribes of Israel, which are scattered abroad. We are everywhere. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations.
Read.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen.
Read.
Whether the Most High shall lead you.
Whether the Most High shall lead you. Now, drop that, go to Ezekiel 28:25. Because when the gathering will be done, the Most High will take, in fact, will take us everywhere. Let's see one place He will take us. Read. Ezekiel 28:25.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Most High thy power.
Read.
When I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people.
Read.
Among whom they are scattered.
Among whom we are scattered. We are everywhere. Read.
And shall be sanctified in them.
So He's going to take us from all these nations and He's going to set us apart. Read.
In the sight of the heathen.
That's why you see in Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 9, in Revelation 7, verse 9, the Most High took us from all languages because we are scattered everywhere. Read.
Then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob.
Of course, so we are everywhere. So if the curses feed them, Romans 8:16 in the New Testament. If the curses of Deuteronomy 28 feed them, they are Israelites. Because these curses, wherever these curses are for a sign, according to the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 45 to 46. These curses identify who we are. The same way a bathroom sign identifies it is for a man or a woman, this is the same way the curses identify us. Read.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit.
Read.
That we are the children of the Most High.
So wherever we are, if these curses of the book of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 befall on us, we are Israelites. Any more questions?
Yeah, we have. 1 second.
So this is why oftentimes you may hear us saying those scattered abroad or those in the diaspora. We are everywhere. In fact, in Isaiah 11, verse 11, God says pretty much He will take us from the lower part of Egypt. We are everywhere, brother. So the gathering, the Most High will do the gathering through Hamashiach. That's why when we are preaching in the street, we just spread the word according to Isaiah 55, verse 11. If that person is Israel, guess what? The Most High will know. But we will not just say, oh, you are Hulk Hogan, you are Israelite. No, we will not do garbage like that. Any other question?
Do other Israelite women use birth control? Because Planned Parenthood distributes that as well.
Now, if let's go to 1 Corinthians 7. Now, if the husband agrees with that, hey, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband.
So if the husband agrees with it and you guys want to control your pretty much, you already have children, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. All right, so any last question?
I think that's it.
That's it? All right. All right. Shalom, brothers and sisters online. Shalom, brothers. May the Most High bless us and only us. We are the real Jews. We are the people of God. For us to survive in our captivities, wherever we are, we have to start practicing racism. We have to start practicing racism, which means do for self, better ourselves in the Most High through Hamashiach. Shalom. As of the last prayer, let us face the east. Abanawa. Shabbat Shamayim, Kadash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahawa, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Radazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Barakaza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashamayim, Natalanawa, Lakom, Kanyawam, Wasalaknawa, 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 Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasayawan, Abo, our Shainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wahala, Wathakarat, Lalomyum, Bahashim, Hamashiach, Yahawashai, Zawada, Tamyad, Amen. Matthew 6, verse 9.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushua, the water of God, Amen.